Okay, we are making one of my favorite recipes today. This is a homemade custard for making soft serve custard. Your main starting ingredients are going to be some vanilla extract or vanilla bean pods if you're fancy. We've got 175 grams of granulated sugar, and then in here I also put the salt, so 3 grams of salt. We've got 1 whole cup of whole milk. And I'm not going to pick it up because it's filled to the brim, but we have 2 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. So what you're going to do is you want to get a big sauce pot like this. The recipe that I work off of this calls to try and temp gauge it around like 175, I think. I usually just eyeball it. You want to get it hot enough to where the sugar is going to be able to dissolve. So let's start pouring in our heavy whipping cream. See, I can already tell it's already a little too hot, so I'm gonna drop it down to like medium heat. The number one key for this recipe is you do not want it to boil. You do not want it to boil, especially once we start adding our egg yolks. That will make it curdle, and that's not what you want. So then we're going with our 1 cup of whole milk. I already did our 2 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. So I'm gonna set these to the side. And our 175 grams of granulated sugar, along with 3 grams of salt. Here, come get an overhead shot of this. Silly goose. A little more overhead. There we go. Now you just want to whisk this in. And while this is warming, you just kind of want to be occasionally just coming over here and whisking and stirring, whisking and stirring. What's this at? Probably a good time. All right, back to me real quick. Again, this is, I tend to be very eyeball-y with this recipe. That's also because I've done it multiple times. You just want to make sure that you let it dissolve so that you're whisking in your sugar and it's not all clumpy. But managing your temperature, so again, it does not boil. If you boil this, it will be ruined. It's going to screw up the consistency. You're not going to be able to get the right custard in the end. All right, first of all, excuse the mess. I'm double timing today. I already filmed a black bottom cupcake brownie video, so now we're doing this. But you want to get 7 whole eggs, and this is a trick that I've actually mentioned a few times in one of my prior videos in terms of how to easily separate out a bunch of eggs. So without breaking any of the yolks, we're going to open up 7 whole eggs into 1 bowl. Here, come get a top-down shot of this. All right, that's good. Okay, so I already had to move one of them over because it cracked the yolk a little bit, and I wanted to get that moved over before it started to mix with the egg whites. But what you're literally going to do is you're just going to kind of just pick it up and just pass it back and forth. Wash your hands first, obviously. Just pass it back and forth between your hands like so. Just letting the egg yolk stay within your grasp while the egg white slips through your fingers. That easy. Here, come get a top down of this. All right. Okay, so now that we have our yolks separated, we're just going to whisk them up real quick. All right, that's good. All right, what you're going to do is you're going to ladle little bits of your now warm kind of sugary milk cream mixture into your eggs and just whisk it in to kind of bring them up to temp before we add them into the actual whole mixture. One more. Now, I believe this is important because you want less of a sudden temp change when incorporating the two. And it does make a difference, because I've done it with and without this process. It does make a difference in terms of the actual consistency of the final product. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It's melt in your mouth levels of smooth soft serve. So now we can just add this all back in. And now it's just a true waiting game of whisk to get everything incorporated. And then you just want to keep your eye on it, stirring occasionally every minute or so. Don't let it boil, keep it warm. And I'll update you guys back here in a second, but you're going to be looking for watching it thicken and get a nice custard quality to it. I'll show you guys in a second, but if you let it go too long, the eggs will start to curdle, and that's a no good. We are just about ready for the next part, but I want to show you guys about the consistency you want to look for. You want it to be able to coat the back of a spoon or a ladle. The way I do this for what you're about to see is technically a little bit overdone than what is like technically the right way to do it. I personally like mine a little bit thick, but that's just because I'm weird. But you guys will see just about right here. So if you come here, and keep in mind, if you get it a little too thick, yeah. So this is even probably a little thicker than ideal. But keep in mind, if you have a fine mesh strainer, you're gonna get a good consistency regardless. All right, so set up. We have a ice bath. So they just big bowl, ice water, little bowl to catch, strainer. Yes, I know this is not a great strainer. If you have a fine mesh strainer, this is going to turn out even nicer than how mine does. So we're going to transfer all of our custard. Here, can you hold that? Into our fine mesh strainer. And yes, as you'll see, mine is technically a little thicker than what is probably the proper consistency. I personally just like mine a little bit thicker. But if you just modulate your temperature a little lower, don't let it cook as long, you'll be fine. Now we're just going to let it run through this fine strainer. Okay, go ahead and stop. All right, this is mostly cooled down enough. I'm going to rush the process a little bit just because I want to get it done for the video. But just keep in mind, the more that you whisk this and let it cool off in the ice bath, and the colder it is before you add it to your ice cream maker, the more ice creamy it's going to be because it's starting at a colder temperature. If you don't have an ice cream maker, well, shit. I've seen plenty of videos of people saying that you can keep ice bath whisking it by hand. I've never watched somebody do that, so I'm just going to take their word for it and say it's possible. I'm way too lazy, so I'm not even going to try. Because I own an ice cream maker, courtesy of my roommate. Now, this is our ice cream maker. Basically works off of, you have your base that spins, you have your frozen bucket, and if you make ice cream a lot at home, 100% get one of the ones with a compressor, because you don't have to wait for the base to freeze every time. It's just constantly ready to be used. And if it's worth it to you, pick it up, because they're by far a lot easier to use. But with that being said, let's get this transferred over. To our ice cream. Oh, you're gonna stop, yeah. That goes down there. Lid goes on top. And then this spins. You get a top down. Yeah, I got it. Guys, when I tell you this is my favorite recipe that I've made in terms of any type of baking, if this even qualifies as baking, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It is the essence of like a good soft serve, like the moment it's in your mouth. Like it's got its form, it's cold, it's firm, it's ice cream. But the moment it's in your mouth, it just melts. So I'm going to transfer this to a container. A little messy, like I said. We went double time on videos today. But, oh my God. I mean, as you guys can see, this shit's firm. It's holding up. You get a little spoonful. And it melts in the mouth. Absolutely melts.